Okay. How do you achieve your dream? So, okay, I know, excuse me, I know now you're hearing all these things. Okay, so what do you want to be when you grow up? What are your goals? What is your dream? I had a dream. My dream was to be the starting second baseman for the Cincinnati Reds. I'm going to show you how I achieved my dream. My very first baseball game, I was 9 years old. It was Little League. It was the bottom of the fifth inning. We only went 5 innings. The score was tied 5-5. We had 2 outs. I didn't start. I was on the bench. My coach comes up to me and he says, "Okay, Randy, what I want you to do is I want you to go up to the plate. I want you to crouch down as small as you could possibly get, and I want you to walk." So I said, "Okay." So I went up to the plate and I crouched down and I walked. So I'm on first base. The pitcher goes to pitch the ball. I run to second base. The catcher throws the ball to second base, but he overthrows second base. So I run from second to third base on the overthrow. So I'm on third base. The pitcher has the ball. He goes into his windup. I take off to steal home. He speeds up his windup. He throws the ball home, and I slide under the catcher's mitt, and I'm safe. We win the game. My teammates are going nuts. My teammates' family, they're all going nuts. I mean, my parents, everyone's going nuts. It was the coolest feeling I have ever had in my entire life. I didn't realize how cool it felt to make other people happy. I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play second base for the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds. When I was growing up, the Cincinnati Reds, the big red machine, was the greatest baseball team ever to take the field. There was nothing that they couldn't do. They could hit. They could play defense. They could pitch. I mean, they were amazing. I think about, I want to say 6 or 7 of the starting 9 are actually in the Hall of Fame. And one of the greatest leaders, Joe Morgan, played second base. And I love Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan, he'd get up to the plate. He was left-handed. He'd stand there, and right before the pitch, he would do this little wing thing. It was the weirdest thing, but it was so cool, and I wanted to be him. I used to get in trouble because I would put off doing my homework because I had to watch the Reds, because I was gonna be the next Joe Morgan. My brother, he had a dream. He went to this school. This school was called School for the Creative and Performing Arts, SCPA. And he was a dancer in a musical. So it was Cinderella. And my family, we all decided that we were going to go and see my brother perform. So I'd never seen a musical. I had no idea what this was. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. And the lights go out. And then the music starts. And for the next 2 hours, I'm sitting there like this. It was so cool. I mean, the costumes and the lights and the sets and my brother dancing all over the stage. I was absolutely taken to this world that I didn't even know existed. And not only that, at the end of every single number, you got applause, just like when I scored the winning run for my baseball team. So I was like, okay, I am going to be a dancer in musicals. So I went to performing arts, right? And I had a teacher. My teacher wanted me to do some research on these 2 performers. And these 2 performers were Andre DeShields and Ben Vereen. So I'm doing a little research on Andre DeShields. Now, Andre DeShields, he played the title role in the Broadway production of The Wiz. He was actually The Wiz. But then he was also in another musical called Ain't Misbehavin'. And it just so happened that Ain't Misbehavin' was coming on NBC on a Friday night. So I'm sitting around the television in the living room with my family. All right, the lights go out, the music starts, and I swear to you, I was transformed from my living room to what felt like the Harlem Renaissance. It was a nightclub in the 40s. It was the coolest thing I have ever heard, watching the performances. And Andre DeShields, he sang this song. It was called Viper's Drag. And he would slink across the stage, and it was so cool. He turned from human to a serpent. I've never seen anything like it. I was transformed to like some fantasy. It was the greatest thing that I had ever seen. But then I did some research on Ben Vereen. Now, Ben Vereen, come on. He was nominated for a Tony for the role of Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar, but what he was best known for was the leading player in Pippin. Now, it just so happens that my best friend, he had the videotape to Pippin. So he and I, we're gonna sit down on a Saturday night and we're gonna watch Pippin. So the show starts, and the beginning of the show, the first number is Magic to Do, and it starts with this light curtain. So there's a curtain of lights, and then you see these hands with white gloves, and it's doing like this, and then you see Ben Vereen's face. It's like, join us, leave your field to flowers, and that moment, I went on this journey. This man, I can't even tell you, he was dynamic, he was charismatic, he made me laugh, he made me cry, he scared me, he was poignant. I was like, how can someone do that? I could not believe what I had seen, but I realized that I was gonna be the next Ben Vereen or Andre the Shields. So I was going to college. So I go to my guidance counselor, and my guidance counselor says, okay, Randy, you're going to college, but what are you going to major in? I said, I am going to major in musical theater. And my guidance counselor said, interesting. Okay, so what are you going to do for a fallback? And I said, what? What's a fallback? She said, well, just in case you're not successful in theater, you need something to fall back on. I said, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you set yourself up to fail? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I said, wait, okay. When you went to college, what did you major in? She said, sociology. I said, and what was your fallback? She said, I didn't have one. I said, so why do I need one? I mean, don't you think that if you have a fallback that you will fall back? So I said, you know what? I am going to go to college and I'm going to major in musical theater. So I went to Webster University and I majored in musical theater. My very first day of acting class, my teacher, he's asking everyone in the class, okay, what is it that you want? What do you plan on getting out of this program? So all of my classmates are answering the question. It gets to me. He says, Randy, what is it that you want? And I said, I want to be the next Ben Vereen or Andre the Shields. And he says to me, why? Why? Yes, Randy, I want you to clarify, okay? Why do I want to be the next Ben Vereen or Andre the Shields? Well, when you watch them perform, their entire being becomes enveloped in this character. I mean, they make you laugh, they make you cry, they allow you to escape. You don't care about anything. He says, so your turning into Ben Vereen or Andre the Shields will allow you to feel this way forever? I'm like, no. I don't want to turn into them and feel that way. What I want to do is I want to be able to do what they do. So I want to do what they do. And what they do is, they're Broadway performers. I want to be a Broadway performer. And he says to me, why? Okay, why do I want to be a Broadway performer? Okay, I want to be a Broadway performer because I want to be able to make people laugh. I want to be able to make people cry. I want to be able to allow people to escape. He says, now being a Broadway performer will enable you to do that? I said, he says, wait a second. What is it that made you decide to get into theater? I said, well, my brother was in a musical, and I had never seen a musical before. The lights went out, the curtain went up, and next thing you know, I was transported to this world that I'd never encountered before. He says, it seems to me that you had the same reaction when you watched your brother as you did when you watched Ben Vereen or Andre the Shields. I said, you're right. He says, what did that have to do with being a Broadway performer? I said, absolutely nothing. Okay, so I don't want to be a Broadway performer. What I want to be an actor. I want to be a good actor, because if I'm a good actor, I can make people laugh and I can make people cry and I can allow people to escape. So here I am. I'm like, okay, so I had this dream. That dream was to be the starting second baseman for the Cincinnati Reds, and then it turned into being a dancer in a musical, then it turned into being Andre the Shields or Ben Vereen, and then it turned into being a Broadway performer, and then I adapted all of those things into being an actor. I was on the national tour of Kiss Me Kate during 9/11. We were in Los Angeles. We didn't perform on 9/11, but we performed the day after on the 12th. So I'm driving to the theater, and I could not believe that we actually had to perform this silly, fluffy musical when it seemed like the entire country was in mourning. So I'm going to the theater. We get to the theater. It was a big theater. It held about 3,000 people. But today, there were only about 300 people in the audience. So the show starts. We're doing the first number. The first number was another opening, another show. So I'm in the first number. And then at one point, I have to exit stage left. And then I have this crossover. And during this crossover, I got really, really emotional. So I had to go into a dressing area, and I had to compose myself and then continue the crossover. And then I go back on stage, and I finish the number, and we finish the show. And at the end of the show, we invited the audience to stand up and sing God Bless America with us. So all of the actors are on stage, and we are standing, and we're singing God Bless America, and we're hugging, and we're crying. And the audience, they're standing, and they're hugging, and they're crying. And then a week later, there was a letter written to the LA Times. And in this letter, someone wrote, "I would like to thank the cast of Kiss Me Kate for performing on the 12th of September. During those 3 hours, it was a very difficult time in my life, and it allowed me the opportunity to laugh and to escape. And I want to thank you." And when I read that, I realized that it didn't matter if I was on stage at SCPA, or if I was on stage at Webster University, or if I was on stage at the Shubert Theater in Los Angeles, or if I was on stage at the Marriott Marquis on Broadway. If I make someone laugh, if I make someone cry, if I allow them to escape, I have achieved my dream of being the starting second baseman for the Cincinnati Reds. Thanks.